Let's check the brakes. Oh wow! It's always a pleasant surprise in the morning when things are working. So this is Pilot Flying J, the last pilot on the Canadian soil before you enter US on QEW. Queen Elizabeth Way. And I was just here a few days ago, right? On the way to Canada. And now we're going back. I just checked with the shipper. He says, yeah, we're gonna unload you in the same yard where you loaded. And so that can be interesting, because I remember he was guiding me out of that place. It was so tight, because of course, I'm still running on 8 axles, so 4 in the back. They make it very tough to go around corners. So I'm really looking forward to that Stinger, because I remember from my experience with this guy, what's his name, Ben from Virginia. Hello Ben, if you're watching. When I was pulling that fuel tank a few months ago, if you remember, and so I had to hook up to his trailer, and his trailer was
300 meters, turn right onto Gilmore Road.
had a short Stinger. And I remember how it felt like amazing how that Stinger was actually not just steering, but it was kind of like pushing the rear of the trailer, into a tighter radius. Oh, and they used to have Denny's in here. Not anymore. So now we have a nice little Afghan family take over. And they make a mix of Indian, Afghan, food, Canadian. Very nice. Diesel is the Greedy Pilot, sells for $1.31 Canadian. Across the street at that Esso, it's $1.29.
Take the next right onto Gilmore Road, Niagara 19.
And Canadian funds per liter. And Captain Sergey was smart yesterday. I dropped the trailer and I bobtailed to downtown Fort Erie.
400 meters, use the right lane to take the Queen Elizabeth Way ramp to Road Erie.
Where I found diesel at sorry, wrong gear. I found diesel at $1.21. No, yes, 2 days ago, right? This hill was causing lots of troubles for people when there was snow here. There was a big lineup. I was watching from the restaurant. Quite a few guys could not make this hill when it's covered in snow, especially when you empty, because there's no traction. And so I got full driver's side tank of cheap diesel, $1.21, which is not so cheap if you multiply by 3.78, that's US gallons, and then times 0.75%, that's US dollars. But it's a very high quality diesel. I believe, and I know lots of Canadian drivers will agree with me, that Canadian diesel is much higher quality. Like,
Use the right lane to take the Queen Elizabeth Way ramp.
when it's flowing, you can see through, right? It's looks like Russian vodka, needed to say more,
500 meters, merge onto Queen Elizabeth
What?
Way.
Sorry about that, Mr. Terminator. And so now it's early morning, well, not so early, 8:15. My border crossing is set up. I have the bridge permit. I have permission to cross the bridge. And I have all my permits. And they're sending me on the same route that I took coming to Canada.
Continue for 5 kilometers.
Well, this is the spot where you stop, you know, before you go on the bridge. And the sun today is so bright. So that's the bridge, right? This is Canadian side. That's the duty-free. And that building, blue building far in the distance, that's where these bridge authority is. And so you stop here with oversized load and you put your lights on and they know to come over. If not, there's a phone number that you call them when you see the supervisors coming. But that's where they line up. And check this out. You see that one? 777D. Hold on, I think the girl is back. All right, I changed the setting on the camera, so now the angle is linear, which is like more narrow, so it should show you guys this monster machine a bit better. But I actually saw these a couple of times on the load board, and I was not sure if I can move them, you know. But you see how they move them, 77D. So they remove the complete wheel assembly on the front, and they take off one wheel in the back. And then still you see how the axle in the back sticks out. And I think this thing is about 100,000 pounds, maybe less. But so this is what looks like a 70 or 65 ton trailer, because it has a 3+2 in the back, right? Like if 60 ton like mine, it's 3+1 or 2+2. If it's more than 4 axles in the back, so that's higher capacity, so 65 or 70 tons. And he has a tandem Jeep, but that's, I'm sorry to say, is a very cheap looking Jeep. It's very short, you know. That's not a very good Jeep. Like mine is longer, and when it's longer, that means that you can still use the pusher axle on the truck, you know. Otherwise, if you have a Jeep like this, you cannot properly load the pusher axle. So basically, if I had the Jeep like this and the Stinger, I would only be able to run on like 9 axles, you know, and keeping my pusher up, because it'll be useless. Just you cannot transfer the weight. But mine will be longer, so soon you should be able to see me do monsters like this. But I honestly, I don't like dealing with escorts, but you know, once you 120 feet, that's gonna be the reality. And I see the guy just dropped it here. I guess something was wrong. Probably they were not allowing him to cross the bridge. I'm guessing because of the short Jeep. He was probably overloaded on the truck or something. Because again, to cross this bridge, you have to go on their website and you have to fill out the form, and then they tell you, can you cross or not. And these guys, like I mentioned before, they don't go by the federal bridge formula in the States or Ontario rules. They have their own piece of software that was designed by one of the engineers, and they're trying to protect the bridge. And when you send them that form, all they do is they ask you for your spacings and axle weights, and then they tell you, are you good or not, you know. And it's very important they like, of course, when you have larger spacings, you know. And so again, for me, that's good news, because, you know, if I have something that's not too heavy, I can lift my pusher axle, and this will increase my spacing between axle 1 and axle 2, which in that case would be the drive axle, right? And so, you know, it might help when I have the Jeep and the Stinger. But I like the fact that I have the pusher, because then I can do something on 10 axles, you know. That's pretty neat. Because you see this guy, so he has 2 plus 3 plus 2, right? So he has 7 axles plus 3 on the truck, so he has 10. And I will have the same 10, you know, which is pretty cool. And by the way, here's, like, there's lots of reflection in here, but there's a bucket here. The bucket, what looks like from the same truck, on a triaxle step deck. Yeah, I'm sorry for this. There's nothing I can do about this sun. Okay, my girl is back. I gave her $100 US to cross the bridge, and she's went to get me the receipt. Now she's back. this feels like Christmas, you know, for some reason. We have snow, we have nice blue sky, and +2 Celsius, 35 F. That's super warm for Canadians. So I know people in Alberta now walking around in shorts and t-shirts inside the Edmonton Mall. That's the biggest mall. I think there's another one now, but those guys have a swimming pool in there. Once I did a video, they have a huge swimming pool, and you go there in the middle of winter, there are people lying, you know, under the artificial sun in bikinis and you know, swimming trunks. All right, so the cruise control is set at 57 mph, 92 km/h, and I'm guessing we're doing around 65 liters per 100 kilometers. Let me see, 76. That cannot be right. It's probably because I was going uphill, but with this load, pretty much 100,000 pounds, so it's 65 liters per 100 kilometers, or if you convert that to US miles per gallon, it's about 3.7, so it's even less than 4. And that's why I always tell people, don't get too excited about, you know, heavy haul rates, because yeah, you know, they give you like a big number, and then you burn a small canister of fuel, like a tanker worth of fuel, and you got your permits, you got your escorts. Like you saw, I had to pay the bridge, the Peace Bridge, and it's funny is that on that paper, like when I do that form online, right, and it says, yeah, approved, here's your reference number, and then I have to give this number to the girl that showed up in the golf cart, and then she called the office on the radio, gave them that number, and they looked it up on the computer. Yeah, this guy is legit. But what's funny is that on that piece of paper that you print out, this sun is just killing me today. So when you print out that piece of paper, it says infrequent or first time crossers. You know, like if you don't do it often, or if you are first time, you have to pay a quote-unquote bridge management fee. And so I asked the girl, I said, you know, I've been crossing since like 2017 and even before, but under my authority since 2017. And I said, infrequent, like, can you ask your boss, is there gonna be a point in the future where I'll be considered, you know, frequent? You know, or will there be a point where I have to stop paying your management fee, right? And she came back, you know, very cute young girl, probably, I don't know, 23, 25, zooming around in a golf cart, right? So great job, you know, wearing a nice shiny jacket, and she has traffic control authority, you know, fancy words, which means that she can actually stop traffic, and she has that authority on the bridge. And she came back and she said, oh, I asked the boss, he says no. Meaning that you will have to pay each time you cross. But now I'm smart, or more smart than I used to be. And by the way, I did make a mistake on purpose. Because if you cross before lunchtime, before noon, it's 2 times cheaper. And so the guy on the radio tells her 130 Canadian or 100 US. so I gave her cash. I had US cash on me, and she zoomed away, then came back with a receipt. And then she says, you can cross anytime you're ready. And I said, are you gonna stop the bridge? I mean, are you gonna stop the traffic? And she says, yeah, just follow me. And I follow her, and then that's what I meant by traffic control authority. So she puts her golf cart in the middle of two lanes where cars are coming in onto the bridge, and she stops like this in a bright yellow jacket. And that's why I'm saying that I think for a young person that can be exciting, you know, where you have some power, you know. People have to listen to you because you have the radio, right? If they don't listen, you can always call in reinforcement, you know. Like if I try to, you know, dash across the bridge without paying the fee, right? She's gonna be on the radio in a jiffy, and there'll be people in golf carts chasing me up the bridge, you know. You don't joke about that, you know. A dozen golf carts, that can be pretty threatening, you know. They will converge on me, stop me in the middle of the bridge, turn me around all 82 feet long, and escort me back. Okay, Mr. Drachev, did you forget to pay us $100 US for crossing the bridge? Now we have to charge you extra because we spent all this electric power chasing you on golf carts. So yeah, I don't want to do that, you know. You don't want to make people more angry than they already are. So anyway, there was a cop sitting at the toll booth, and sometimes there's a cop sitting here, and my permit says speed limit 55, so that's what I'm pretty much doing, right? Just 1 mile over, 1.5 miles over. So I think we're doing good. And I have my Verizon tablet now, so now Rogers is going bankrupt. You're gonna see news releases pretty soon in Canadian magazines, because I tricked them, right? That's why I changed the tablet, because if I keep my Canadian tablet, they charge me $8, or I think now it's $10 a day for a maximum of 2 weeks, so basically $100 a month. So now I got this one. I signed out of my Keep Trucking log on the Canadian tablet, then I put this on, signed in, choose my truck, 305, and it's all seamless. Now I'm back in, you know, the same log. Oh, and I do this, I did this when I was at the pilot, 5 kilometers away, because some people ask me when I was coming back to Canada, why did I switch it? Because yeah, Verizon does work. Like my phone is my Verizon phone. It does work everywhere, but there's a little fine print in there. They say that when you're in Canada, they only give you 500 megabytes of data. Okay, that's like basic email, you know. And this thing, I'm using location, I'm using Google Maps, and of course, you know, Keep Trucking. And so I'm pretty sure that 500 megabytes a day is not enough, you know. And also Verizon says if they look at your data and they see that more than, I think, 75% of your calls originate in Canada, they're gonna close your account. Basically, they don't want people to use exclusively Verizon phones if you're Canadian, you know. It's more for occasional traveler to Canada. And that's why I have two phones. I have Rogers, which switches to AT&T in US, and I have Verizon. And why I got that one? Because I needed more data for my YouTube uploads. But also Verizon has a much better signal in some areas than AT&T, and vice versa. Sometimes AT&T works better than Verizon, but I need that backup, you know, because internet is, for me, is a tool of the trade. I need to be able to send an email, to you know, go on the load board, right? So I need a reliable internet, and especially places like Iowa, Nebraska, AT&T T-Mobile do not work over there, you know, no internet, period. And so the only thing that works out of my two is Verizon. And they're not paying me for this, but I'm just saying that Verizon, it's the best technology if you're a trucker and you need a reliable signal inside US when you are constantly traveling. Like if you live in a big city, you know, like New York City, I don't care, Washington DC, Seattle, right? As long as you're inside the city, you're a student or you're just an office worker, any cell phone will work, you know. But if you're like me, you have to be, you travel through the woods, through some desert, rocks, mountains, you know, you need a reliable connection. And I just, by trial and error, I tried T-Mobile from US, I tried AT&T directly from US, I had an AT&T phone. There's no comparison, you know. So I'm a big Verizon fan when I'm inside US. Well, in case you're wondering, so first I have to put the camera in here, start it, leave, and then come back. So it's a lot of work creating this YouTube videos, you know. So I made it to Harbor Creek, and it's +4, I'm guessing 36, 37F. Looks like this, everything is melting, you know. And I almost made it out of New York, and then the toll lady says, well, sit tight, we have to call the trooper. Basically, the last toll, right? The last toll on I-90, and they blocked the oversized lane. That one, that's the one that has like 2 arrows, yellow and black or black on yellow. That's where oversized loads go. And I know I crossed that plaza on the way in, so I know these, you know, I'm not too wide, so I know everything is, you know, I'm on the route. But guys are doing some kind of work, like they took off some kind of a panel in the floor. I think it has probably a scale in there, you know, like a hidden scale, because there was a panel, like a 8-foot long panel coming across, and these guys, construction guys, they blocked that lane, and I try to cross into the next one, and I'm going and I'm going and I'm looking, and I'm like super tight on each corner. And then one of the construction guys says, hey, your chain. And I look in the mirror, and the chain is like 1/8 of an inch away from the barrier. So I had to back out, and so I couldn't go through a normal gate. And the lady says, okay, we're gonna send you through the opposite traffic lane, which is, you know, for oversized loads coming this way. But she says, we cannot do it, it's too much traffic, we have to call the trooper to close that, you know, side. Well, first he closes this side, let me go like this, and then he goes there, blocks that side. And I said, you guys have a couple of vans in there, right? Like they have these big, you know, cargo vans with flashing lights. I said, can you not do that? Like, why do you need a trooper? You know? And she said, no, you know, that's the rule, we have to call the trooper. And then I see, you know, it's pretty windy outside, pretty cold, so those construction guys, I look at them, they're not very happy, so I'm sitting on the shoulder waiting for the trooper. And then construction guys, I guess they got cold or something, and so they wound up things pretty fast, even though I asked the guy, I said, are you guys going to be long doing this? Well, can you maybe lift it and let me go through? Because like the road is fine, they were just working on some electronics under that panel, right? And the panel is this wide and 8 feet, you know, and they just lifted it and they blocked the road with these big cones. And the guy said, well, we're not gonna be you know, done maybe an hour and a half. Okay. And then I sit for 10 minutes. All of a sudden I see they drove the van in the front away that was blocking, with the flashing lights blocking the road, and they moved the cones. And I turn my head and I see the trooper just showed up, and he's already turning around. He didn't even bother to stop, check on me. He was just turning around, going back, because I guess they told him on the phone that that lane is going to be open. And so I drove in, Everything's cool. And as soon as I shut off the engine while I was sitting there, as soon as I started driving, for some reason, you know, as I was driving before, I kept thinking about, you know, like, what a great, you know, truck, a great engine. Like, I'm doing 57 miles per hour with this humongous machine, and the truck pulls great. And then as I started driving from the toll plaza, it's all hills, and for some reason I cannot switch into 8 high, you know, gear 18. Just the truck doesn't want to pull, you know. Everybody's passing me, you know. I look in the mirror to see if there's any white smoke, but I cannot see. Oh, like the angle is too deep, you know. I cannot see the top of my exhaust. But like, I look at all my gauges, the boost is fine, 30 psi normal. I look at my filter. Fuel filter showed a little bit of restriction, but not too much, like normal, like it was 1 or 2 or something like that, you know. And of course, what do you think? It's I opened the hood. When I stopped here, I tightened my clamps, but again, the boost was fine. I thought maybe they were loose or something, but just as a precaution. And then I went inside, got some coffee. And by the way, TA now also has that wicked, those wicked, you know, one machine. They have one machine where you can do like instant coffee, you know, kind of like where it grinds right away. What they started doing at Pilot. It tastes much better than, you know, regular coffee, because it's grounded right for you, you know. And you choose out of 5 or 6 brands. But the Pilot and Flying J used to have 2 of these machines, so each one had 3 flavors, so 6 different brands of coffee. Now they got rid of 1, and now there's only 3 in there, just one machine, right? And I don't like that truck stop, you know, that in Fort Erie. The only good thing about it is that lots of parking, but you go inside, there's nowhere to sit, because that lounge, they have some issues with the heating system. It's super cold. It's like a freezer in there. That TV never works, you know. You have to go to the front to turn it on. But anyway, so that's Pilot in Fort Erie. So this one, so now they started doing this, and this coffee is the same price as normal coffee. Now here we have a female trucker from Jacksonville, Florida, Landstar. Oh, I guess she decided not to leave her little condo behind, so she took it along with her. So we have a condo truck, fancy fenders, 1001 light in the back, but a cheap Fontaine. Okay, so combo, not that bad. Cheap step deck. That looks like a military loader. Sand color with green wheels. But anyway, so I went to get the coffee, right? That's where we stopped our narrative. And why are they all driving like this, 2 miles per hour? You know, there's another guy. These guys are probably going to some kind of exercise. Landstar as well, but this guy, he saved some money on the truck, so he doesn't have a condo, super big sleeper, but he has a fancier trailer, all aluminum. See, it says Landstar in the middle there. All aluminum. What is this? I don't see the brand. Great Dane. On the mud flap it says Great Dane. I'm guessing it's a 53, maybe 48, I don't know. So you see, and they're following each other 2 miles per hour. I'm thinking they're doing a circle, like they're doing a reconnaissance mission. Hold on, let's do another circle. Yeah, and she's turning right. The lady in the front with a super big sleeper, she's, hold on, which way is she turning? Right or left? If she's turning right, because the exit is to the left. No, she's turning left. But I think she's speeding up now. Now she's doing 2.5 miles per hour. And the guy in the back is just, come on! No, but seriously, I don't know why are they driving this slow. And you see the truck stop is empty pretty much, right? Like there's so many. I love this, you know, for oversized loads. I love this TA because there's always parking. I usually park in the corner. That's the truck wash over there, that blue building. And I park behind these trucks. That's why I was parked a few days ago. This is a Canadian guy, Quality Carriers. They do chemicals. Yeah, I knew a guy that used to work for them, and then he switched to a flatbed. Now he also pulls a step deck for Landstar. All right, and so what I started saying is that as I'm going there to get the coffee, that fancy coffee, and I'm, you know how sometimes you do something else, but your mind keeps thinking about the problem in the back, like in the background. And so that's what I was doing, and then I realized, wait a second, so it's definitely fuel, you know. But my last one, it looks like a great fuel, and as you remember this morning I was saying Canadian fuel, right? Like clear, like vodka, right? Like that should be nice. But then before that I filled up in the Jim's Truck Plaza over there. I don't like the color of the diesel. Is really like, you can almost see, you know, ears of corn floating in there. And for some reason on the way here I was doing 65 liters per 100 kilometers. Now I'm doing 70. You know, I thought it was just a fluke, but no, check this out. That's too much. That's I'm guessing 3 miles a gallon. That's not right. And so what I did, I remember that I have that bowl with water at the, you know, where the fuel, second thing over there. And I climbed underneath, grabbed an empty cup, and I opened that little tap, and some greenish liquid started coming out, and I put my fingers under it, under the torrent, under the liquid, and I do it like this, and it's not even remotely slippery. You know, like diesel, it's if you guys ever tried diesel with your hands, it's like oil. It's oily, right? But this thing, my fingers just, you know, rub each other against them, like just clean my hands with soap. So it's water, pure and simple. No oil in that liquid, you know. Unbelievable. So I don't know where I got that. And of course before that I was in Texas, but I was almost empty a couple of times. So I don't know. I don't think it was the Canadian Tire fuel. I think it was the Jim's Truck Plaza, I'm telling you. But somebody somewhere had bad fuel, and so good thing that I caught it. I caught it now, because yeah, especially, you know, weather like this, where everything is melting. If some people have old under storage containers, they can start leaking. And actually once it happened to me in my favorite little town with a weird name of Effingham, Illinois. Right? I filled up at the TA. Filled up at the TA right after a big rain. And then I start driving and the truck doesn't want to drive. You know? Not just slows down on hills, but slows down period, you know? Like I was, eventually I had to stop. You know? And of course that's what happened. I look at the exhaust, the smoke, the white smoke was coming out. So again, that was with the International and the